I just want to point something out to you. It's a little bit like that tension between politics of envy and champagne socialist. You know, when you think about it, it is a very deliberate attempt to silence all dissent, all criticism of a status quo. If you've got a few quid and you think that the system is unfair, even though you've benefited from it, you're a champagne socialist. If you haven't got a few quid and you think the system is unfair, perhaps because you suffer under it, then that's the politics of envy. Nobody is allowed to criticise the economic system in a country where inequality is truly world-beating. Now, there's something similar that happens, and it's happened a lot since Brexit. It's those of us who care about each other, and I'm not going to say the country at this point, I'm going to say each other. Those of us who care about each other. How many people listening to the first two calls on the programme this morning would have come away from their radios thinking, yeah, I hope it's not too late, but I'm going to look in, I'm going to try and speed up, or I'm going to look around. Do you see what I mean? Thinking about others, doing topics like this because it might help other people make changes, make moves that might insulate them from some of the problems that might be on the horizon. That is caring about each other. Or, if I were to use that phrase, it's caring about the country as a whole, i.e. patriotic. Right? Conservative MPs are already trying to claim that conversations like this one are talking the country down. It's not an opinion, it's counting, but it's talking the country down. These people who've spent 6 years now with their fingers wedged into their lug holes and their eyes tightly shut, screaming at the moon that telling the truth about everything from queues in Dover to the state of the economy to the tanking pound to the idiocy of Kwasi Kwarteng's mini-budget is talking the country down. And just so you know, I will never stop telling you the truth about what's happening in the country I care for, to the people I care about. But it does seem odd that we've now had in power for 12 years a party full of people who think that the truth is somehow talking the country down. And that is where we are today. Let me read you some texts. Adam is in Fife, Lauren is in Stanmore. We'll come to them next. Some of these will inspire sympathy, some of them will not, but all of them speak to the tectonic plates beneath our feet, beneath the property market in this country, are already shifting. A little point from Colin. A small story in the great scheme of things, but a huge story for one man and his family. At the present moment, I'm on a fixed rate mortgage. We were looking to purchase a new house, but we would have had to renew the mortgage, and for that reason, we've pulled out completely. On Friday, Kwasi Kwarteng claimed he would be stimulating the property market by making cuts to stamp duty. There is one transaction all set to go ahead that is now completely over. Julie in Suffolk writes, my oldest daughter is doing the right thing, taking on the debt of a second degree to retrain as a much-needed clinician. She, her partner and his 2 children risk losing their home if interest rates soar. And by soar, we don't mean 15 to 20%, we mean 5 to 6%. Scott has worried about his parents not understanding a 6% base rate, not understanding how bad that is because they remember when it was 15% in the 80s. I've just worked out with my mortgage ending in late 2023 that if the base rate was 6%, my mortgage would be 7%. That's not taking into account house price drops or loan to value increases or anything like that. So you'd go from 1.09% to 7% and a mortgage would go from £648 to £1,205. That's an 85% increase overnight. And then you look at increases in energy, petrol, food. 50% of people with mortgages, he estimates, coming to an end in fixed terms will be in dire straits. And it is not, as he points out, really being talked about enough. And that's why we're talking about it. I left education. This is just apropos something quite different. I left education not long ago. James's comment just now about financial education got a bitter laugh out of me. Throughout my whole educational career, the most advanced teaching I got about money was how to count pence and pounds in primary school. I could never understand why we were never taught anything about personal finances and taxes. Just felt as if you finish your education and you're left on your own to figure it all out for yourself. And finally, Patrick, who I don't think is expecting you to get your violins out, but remember, everything has consequences. A butterfly flaps its wings in the Amazonian rainforest and a plant pot falls off a windowsill in Basingstoke. Patrick writes, imagine being that buy-to-let landlord with 50 properties on the go. Mortgages go up by, say, £300 per property. Little chance of passing it on to tenants. How's that going to sit with the electorate if the cabinet have to step in or if the government has to step in to prop up the landlords? And if you've been listening to this thinking, well, I haven't got a mortgage, I rent, doesn't affect me. I know you probably haven't been thinking that, but just in case you have, then don't forget, as Gary points out, I presume this will impact the rental sector too. Landlords will have to match the increased mortgage repayments accordingly, to which Wayne replies, I literally just woke up to the same thing this morning. So your landlord has probably got a mortgage, even if you haven't. And of course, even if your landlord hasn't got a mortgage, if he sees that the flat over the road has put up its rent by £200 a month, then he is going to probably, or she is probably going to do the same. So this matters to absolutely everybody. And on Friday, Kwasi Kwarteng claimed he was going to be providing the housing market with a much needed boost.